All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Wednesday. What's up, everyone? How we doing? Wednesday morning. The game plan yesterday, awesome, man. Played out so good. Wish I took a little bit more advantage of it. But this right here, and we have a little bit of a conversation today about something that definitely was necessary yesterday. But that SPY pullback in our 678.50, 679.24, that was our spot yesterday. What a beautiful break retest long. What a nice opportunity. But again, there is something key about it that I want to talk about today. And it has to do with time frames. But overall, bigger picture, beautiful yesterday. 68.35, the number on the whiteboard right behind me. Very clean. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it yet, but some good conversation about that move yesterday that even I needed to work on a little bit to fully capitalize, but was able to catch it on the future side, which was great. Caught a nice move later in the day on the NASDAQ, almost a 150 point, I think it was like 120 point long. So we'll talk about it. Still just trying to fine tune lately. Just still has not been, it's hard sometimes when you have really big profitable times in your trading. You always feel like that's the new standard. But I have to continue to remind myself that, sometimes you go on some hot streaks that are a little unrealistic. And so, that's sort of where I'm at. Beginning of this year was just firing, making quite a bit. Last few months just been sort of slow for me, but just got to keep showing up. That's it. Welcome back, everyone. How we doing? Welcome to another live stream, another Wednesday. Hope you guys had a good day yesterday. Intraday was tough on the short-term time frames. Bigger picture was clean, but it took quite some time to develop. And there was a key development right around 12 o'clock. So it took about 3 hours to really set up the real move yesterday. And sometimes waiting that 3 hours to get the real move can be tough. Right? That was the hard part about yesterday. It was very choppy, very inconsistent, very hard to read until around 12 o'clock. There was something that was very key that happened, and I'll review that with you today and talk about where I did take that long on the NASDAQ futures. So quite nice there. What else? 5 days left. No, 4 days left. 4 days left to register for our live trading on next Monday and Tuesday. Also Sunday. Sunday will be a live trading prep. Monday, Tuesday, live trading. Make sure to get your name on the list down below. It's free. 4 days left to get that done. And yeah, let's do it. Press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. And here we go. All right, so yesterday, our game plan on the NASDAQ futures was the pullback long within that 25. We were looking at this 25,452 to 25,368, right inside that previous day low. Right in this zone right here is where I was looking for the markets to hold tight. We had previous lows, previous highs. We had previous day low. So I was looking for that pullback long to hold within this area here. We got a nice pullback, early morning pullback, came back into that level. You guys can see right here, pretty much just slid lower the entire morning from around 9:30 to 11:30, really 12 o'clock. We basically just were in this sort of zombie downside move that just was very difficult to read. You had a little pop here that made it look like you were going to get a nice move, and then it went straight back down. And then eventually, the real move occurred. And so this is a really good example of this bigger picture looking mighty fine, right? The bigger picture looking exactly what we wanted, which was a pullback into those lows, but the intraday making it very difficult to catch that move, or very difficult to, you had to wait. You couldn't long that, this whole period here. It was just so inconsistent, so difficult. Trusting that longer-term analysis, the bigger picture read was right, but intraday on the short-term time frames, very difficult to be confident and to look for that move and to stay in that move. And where I took that long was right here. This was the long that I took later in the day. It was this, and the one that actually worked for me finally was the break and retest of this zone right here. So if you look at the NASDAQ futures, you can see that we had these lows, these highs intraday, the highs intraday. This was a clean structure intraday, and we finally flipped that around 12:15 to 12:30. We finally flipped it. We finally got the hold above that area, right? The break, the hold, breakout, pull back to it, hold it again, and continuation. So finally saw that move develop and was able to catch this pullback long right here on the NASDAQ futures for a really nice long, very similar to our long on the ES the day prior, right? If we go to the ES back on Monday, so if we go back to Monday, it was pretty much the same exact thing. Here on Monday, we had this intraday sort of shitty consolidation, right? We had a clear low, clear highs, very difficult, very choppy price action all through the afternoon. And then at 12 o'clock, which is interesting, it seems like something is turning on around 12 o'clock the last 2 days. Around noon Eastern time, you get an explosion move, you get a pullback, you hold the structure, the previous rejection points from the day, hold it right here, and that was that really nice ES long that set up on Monday. So pretty much the same thing 2 days in a row, but it didn't start to occur until noon, right? And that just makes it very difficult and requires a ton of patience to allow that to start to develop before getting clicky. Before starting to get interested and into the move. So something to remember today, if we do get some slower action prior to that 12 o'clock, some morning slower action, just be aware of that. Right now, today on the NASDAQ futures, I am now looking to see if we can hold above this 25,660. 666 is really the level to 25,630 area. That is the new low that I would like to see develop. If I go down to the 15-minute chart, that is right here. It is the highs from Monday right here. It is the consolidation, right? Or actually, it's the rejection from yesterday. So you can see rejections. You can see rejection. You can see flip right here. Look how clean this flip is on the 15. Look at the 15-minute chart, right? You have morning rejections yesterday right here, and look what it did into the overnight session. Look at that right there. That is a beautiful, beautiful flip right there from a rejection point to a structure low. See that? Break, retest, consolidation, and finally lift off that level. So today, I would love to see that be a defense, right, for the bulls. That level right there. You also will have the daily 20 pretty damn close to it. So that is definitely a spot that I would like to see hold tight today to continue to make those higher lows on this NASDAQ. Now, here is the big test. This is the live stream title. This is it. I mean, this is the heavyweight match right here, guys. Today is the heavyweight. This is the main event. It is right here. Do we get that break? Do we get that break and hold? Do we finally reverse this market back above these triple top highs and back below these major lows? Do we finally see the market find that breakout, hold above it, and continue the real breakout move, right? That is really the neckline of this larger head and shoulder, which we have been tracking pretty closely this entire downside move. So this is it. I mean, this is the heavyweight match. This is, I would say, probably 25,900 is probably the right spot to put it at. Yeah, I'm going to move that a little bit higher. 25,900 looks like it's probably the right spot. So I would be watching that today. If we can get that move, if we can get that hold above 25.9, that is a true breakout. I mean, that is a true move right there. Break, hold, 25.9. That would be very, very nice. So what does that mean? That means we do need to be careful into this morning open. The fact that we are up into that supply could be a failure of that 850-900. That is going to be so major. If we fail that today, we will probably see the same type of rejection that we saw here. And at that point, I would be looking for us to pull back to the daily 20 and even possibly back down to that 450 area. If the market has to come down again, it's very possible, right? The market could simply just stay within this channel. So if we reject here today and we do see some nasty price action, that's going to come right back down to these lows potentially. And the other thing to note is that you do still have a gap down here, and I'll show you that on the QQQ. But it's building well. It's holding the levels we want to see it hold. The S&P is also even more clean, and I'll show you that in a moment. But here's your heavyweight match, 25,900 NASDAQ futures. S&P 500, our level yesterday, as you can see on the whiteboard behind me, 68.35. And unfortunately, I was slightly off. It looks like it was 68.30. But you saw that 68.35 battle all day yesterday. I'm actually just going to move this down to 30 because that's probably the right move, as that was the lows of yesterday. You can see right here. So 68.30, 68.35, definitely a big spot. All the way up to that 68.52, which was our 68.50 coming into the day. So our 68.50 area right here, right? We had that 68.50, 68.50, 68.50, which we needed to break above. And take a look at that flip. And I saw some of you guys in the chat catch this trade. Look at this absolute beauty yesterday. I mean, that is just perfection. 68.52, highs, lows. So we have continued to see in this market, it is favoring and it is rewarding the patient, right? That's the truth. And that's the hardest part about trading sometimes, right? Yesterday, this really was not necessary to trade. The only trade that you needed to take yesterday was right here on the S&P. All right, and I'm even guilty of that at times. Okay, this is the hardest part about trading. Stay away from this, right, and just take that. That was the only trade that was needed yesterday. The flip right above the morning high, the intraday high, and the perfect break, retest, long. So got to keep, focusing in on that. That's going to continue to be my focus. Try to, be a little bit more particular with the setups you take in this market especially. Intraday chop led to a nice move, but it only led to a nice move after you cleared out that chop zone and that sort of NTZ, as we say. So that's going to be another big focus for me today. The S&P 500 is also up into a major test. You can see the 6,900 level. Very major test here, 6,900, 6,910. Rejections. And you are right up into that this morning. So where am I going to be looking for the pullback long? For now, for it to be super clean for me, I want to see it right at 68.67. That would be my cleanest pullback long of the day. It would be right here, right there. Look at how that's set up in the overnight session into end of day and into the overnight session here. You have Monday's highs into perfect lows. That is a beautiful structure higher. And now if we do get a pullback off this supply today, if we do get something like this where you curl back off of it, I would want to see what happens right here and see if that can keep this market elevated. So 68.67 Monday's highs, that is absolutely the spot today to be watching. If we break back under that, I would assume you navigate back down into this demand zone here. Back to the daily 20. So 68.67 would be the, higher low, strong hold level. You fail that, you fail back into the demand below. Watching that very closely, that would be the key hold. If we get that, would be interested to see if that is a long on a pullback today. I would be watching that. If we just get this breakout over 6,900, then you're probably looking at all-time highs, guys. And there we go, right back to all-time highs, the daily 20 pullbacks, the daily 50 pullbacks, creating opportunity once again, as we sort of talked about over the last few days. Over 6,900, I really don't see why this would stop. 6,900, 6,910, if you reclaim these highs, I think you're probably looking at this 6,950 again, right? Navigating through here. So that's a big watch today. We'll see if we get it. For now, going to be cautious in the morning longs because you are up into supply into the morning long, right? The morning gap up into supply. That is a tough spot. We could definitely see that result in some kind of intraday weakness, and then reload the move, as is, that's what we've been getting, just these reloads of the moves. To be honest, I actually think I want to switch this here. 68.52. I think that's the area that you really need to hold right there. I think I want to switch that around just a little bit. I think you really want to see these lows, these highs, and this previous day high right here hold within that 67.52 zone. Right? I don't think you'd want to see the S&P fail back under right here. This flip yesterday at 52, and these lows here, and then these highs, and then these lows, right in there. 67 to 52 would be that demand zone that you'd really want to see hold tight. Okay. All right. On the SPY, it was a thing of pure beauty, but it was a thing of pure beauty on the 15-minute chart, right? And this is what I was talking about this with the group yesterday. We were in some longs. It was hard to hold. It was making me question my idea. But every time I zoomed out to the 15-minute chart, I got reminded that this is still good, right? So every time I zoomed out to this 15-minute yesterday, I got reminded of this right here. These highs and wick lows setting up that entire period of consolidation, right? Look at that. All morning yesterday, for hours, you saw that really nasty, very difficult to read action, right? Very nasty SPY action all right here. It looks good, right? It looks bad. It looks good. It looks bad. It looks good. It looks bad. It looks good, right? It looks really good. It looks really bad, right? It looks okay. And then eventually you go, right? So all of this just noise, all sort of taken away by remembering to zoom out. And this is what made me hold my long swing trades. This is what made me hold my futures long. I just kept zooming out and saying, I just can't see why this doesn't try to hold. So I was trying to be very confident on that. And I probably looked like an idiot at times because the intraday was just disgusting. But that 15-minute just kept sort of showing me this read, right? And eventually you got it. Now, did I need to put myself through that drawdown? Did I need to put myself through that pain? Probably not, right? What could have I done? I could have just waited for this. Like I just said, I could have just waited for this at 52 and waited for that to actually break above these highs and then take the market long, because that technically is just as much of juice as it is from longing down in these lows, right? What are you missing out on? Maybe 5 points, right? So I put myself through a lot of pain yesterday staying long because of that bigger picture idea, but it really was not until it was ready, right? That's true, Matt. It was not until it was truly ready that you really needed to be involved. So something I'm going to try to take away and learn from a little bit more. Beautiful read, though. If we go out to this is exactly where you needed to hold, guys. To me, this is very bullish, okay? The fact that you did this yesterday on the SPY, to me, is tremendously bullish. Why is that? Well, if you look at this chart, you have previous triple bottom lows that turned into major rejection points that turned into an exact low of day yesterday. It's very hard for me to say that this is not a very bullish flip, right? Like, everything I know, if we have some previous demand here that turns into a nasty rejection that causes downside on the market, quick and aggressive downside on the market, if we flip back above that spot that created that downside right here, and it was a perfect low of day, that is very hard not to think that this is going to create a move back higher, right? So this looks really good to me. I will eat my words if this market does not continue to be strong at this point. If we fail back under these lows, that would be very shocking to me. If we see like a really nasty flip back under this, that would be such a nasty trap. Very possible, and I do need to be understanding of that. But in terms of the structure that I see here, the fact that we have flipped back above these lows, back above this massive rejection here, and we are holding above that from yesterday, to me is super nice looking. So we shall see. All right, let's see what the market has in store for us. But that is a really clear read, and I I would make sure you're paying attention to that 678.50, 679 zone right there. Okay? Today, I would love to see the Monday highs hold strong right here. The Monday highs at 682.33. Call it 682 if you want to call it flat. Yeah, all it takes is one tweet. That's right, Chef. It's absolutely right, man. It's absolutely right. It's absolutely right. All it takes is one tweet for this to all be blown up. Monday's highs turning into perfect lows from yesterday. Would love to see that maintain here on a higher low today. If you break under that 682.33, you're going to come right back to that 679, 678.50. Okay? So, and all it takes is one tweet. It's absolutely right. 686 is the level to break today. That sort of lines up with your 6,900 ES. Let's see what it can do. QQQ. QQQ, daily 20. I mean, it couldn't get much cleaner than that yesterday. Look at the daily 20 yesterday on the QQQ. That is pretty much perfect, guys. Talk about the daily 20 like a madman on this live stream on a daily basis. Talk about how, you got to have that daily 20 on your time frames. You got to have that daily 20 on watch every single day. And here you go, right? This is yesterday's lows right here. The daily 20 just sort of saying, no, sir, we're holding this, right? So daily 20, that is pretty damn perfect yesterday. That was the exact low a day on the NASDAQ or on the QQQ. That was also the exact low from Monday. So 2 days in a row, you get a bounce off the daily 20, both right here and right here. That's pretty confidence-inspiring stuff. As long as we're above that daily 20 now, I got to believe that this market is trying to hold higher. That is perfect lows at the daily 20 2 days in a row. If you break that 618, then you know that you're going for gap fill, right? I mean, that's it. If you break that 618, and this is the concern that I have, okay? So let it be known I have one concern. There is one outstanding concern that I have that would cause us to maybe not be ready to break out of these highs right here, because we are still up against this major high. That's number one. So that's one concern, right? Number one concern, 627 still a supply level. Number two concern is that you still have this gap right here. That is a little bit sketchy, all right? So right under this 618 level and right under that Monday low, that would be a break of the daily 20, and that would be into this gap, which could really fuel the downside, like very quickly. So that is my one cautionary thing to be watching. If we break this daily 20 and 618, if we break back below Monday's lows, you are going to get a lightning fast downside move into the 613 right here. I mean, this would be very aggressive because you can only imagine how many people are going to be trapped along here. And if that flips back under these lows, you're going to see a pretty mass exodus and a gap fill move. So that is my one concern I have for you, and I would be paying attention to that. If you are long, just make sure you understand that that is down there still, okay? I would say, de-risking, if you start to see rejections here today, would be not a terrible idea. 627, 627, 627, 627, and here you are again, 627 on the QQQ. So here's your spot, right? There's your structure, 618 to 627. You break 618, you go gap fill. You break 627, you probably go towards all-time highs. So here's the big battle today, guys. This is it. This is the main event. All right. Let's go to gold. Gold is looking mighty fine on the hold above this major previous structure high and these lows and these highs right here. Gold continues to maintain above that level. However, it's really hard to be long 41.36 on gold with a stop loss at 40.80. I mean, that is a 56-point stop loss on gold, and most accounts cannot withstand a 56% 56-point drawdown on gold. Some can, but that's a pretty massive drawdown. So it's pretty hard to get long where you currently are sitting, right? It's pretty hard to just say I'm long here and I'm going to give it 40.80. Like, that's a pretty massive drawdown area. So, it's tough to be long gold, even though the bigger picture, in my opinion, looks very nice on this reclaim. This is about as clean as it gets, right? You have structure, structure, structure. I mean, it's a perfect reclaim above these highs, right there. However, you need to be more precise on an entry point here. So if we do maybe get some kind of flash downside back towards this daily 20 and you start to see it hold, that would probably be a much better entry than, just taking it here and sitting through this drawdown and, waiting for it to come back up. That's a big drawdown on gold. You guys know how, sort of aggressive that GC contract can be. So even with MGC, that's a pretty massive drawdown. So just be aware of that. But it does look bullish on a bigger picture for sure. SMH, let's see if this thing can battle back today. It was the weakest sector yesterday by a massive amount. NVIDIA under that 194 was really clean yesterday. It did pull back once again to this major 348.50 demand, which we've had on our charts, right? We've had this 348.50. Yesterday, you basically pulled right back into that area and started to hold. You can see this morning we are gapping up off that level. So looks like good consolidation to me, right? We're still above demand. We're still below supply. So for now, just consolidation. Daily 20 is, trying to hold this thing up. We got to see if we can get that move on the SMH again, but definitely the leading weakness of yesterday, so be aware of that. IWM looks good, consolidating, but above the 50, below the 20. You're sort of just stuck between these two moving averages. As long as you can continue to find these wick lows off the 50, I think you're looking pretty fine. Daily chart, you can see right here, if we go to the daily and look at the moving averages, it looks like to me you're trying to start, you're starting to get that little hold of the daily 50, similar to all these holds back at the daily 50, right? You're starting to try to get above that, holding that daily 50. You got to clear out above this daily high right around this, looks like to me, it's right around that daily 20. So right here, this daily high is exactly 245.73. If you can break that 245.73 and that daily 20, I think you could see that thing start to move. So 245.73 is that daily high. Have it slightly off there, right there. Right, if you can break that and that daily 20, turn that into support, I think you can get your move off this 50 SMA hold. But right now, just sort of stuck right sideways. Okay, what's Bitcoin doing today? Bitcoin, it's holding, but it's not really going anywhere. But daily 200 still sitting above. Okay. All right. Let's see, man. I mean, hey, we have to remember, if this market gets tanked again right here, that's what happened previously. So can't be upset about it if it happens, right? Here's your tank. Here's a tank job, right? Tank job, and that is very possible again. So just remember that. You are into supply. You do need to be careful up here. There is definitely the possibility of the markets, rejecting this spot. So let's be aware of it. Let's be aware of it. Okay? All right. All right. Let's move on. Tesla. Chinese finger trap. I can't believe this, man. This is starting to get ridiculous, right? Is this not starting to get a little ridiculous? At what point are we going to get this to go? At what point? I still think the best thing that could happen on Tesla for the bulls, the best thing that could happen for the bulls out there on Tesla is a massive drop right into this 373. That is the best thing that you could see on Tesla right now. Massive drop, clear out this, this just shit, to be honest. Panic some longs out, pick up some liquidity, retest this weekly high, and then just absolutely rip them, right? That's, to me, the best thing that could happen on Tesla. Does that happen? I couldn't tell you, but I really think that would be an extremely bullish move, right? Back down to this high. Back down to this high here. Sorry, this low, this high. Weekly, very important weekly pivot at 373. Rip them out. Get the CNBC to talk about how bad Tesla is, right? Everyone that's Tesla. Get everyone that, hates Tesla. Yeah, baby, here we go. Tesla sucks. Give me that move. Fill in this just sort of straight up area and give me that reversal. I think that's what you need, right? Because at this point, technically, what the market is saying right here is that there's not enough volume to get this to break out. There is just simply not enough juice. We are losing the juice, and we need more juice. How do you pick up more juice in the market? You pull back, all right? This is how you get juice. You pull back, and you pick up more buyers. So, I mean, even if we get a breakout from this point, it would be hard to trust, because I don't know if a breakout from this point would even be on high volume or even give you a trustworthy move. I really think you want to see some slippage. This would also be a sick pullback to the daily 100 SMA right there. That does not mean that I say go out and short Tesla. That is not what I'm saying. That is not what you should do. There is nothing to do, actually, right here. There's nothing to do. So let's see, man. One day, we'll come to this live stream one day and we'll get something. But for now, we move past it. NVIDIA 194 gap fill trade yesterday was quite beautiful. Really just not that beautiful of price action. But when you zoom out, it was just a systematic move lower. I mean, that really is what it was. It was simply just a systematic, I'm going lower and nothing's going to save me type of move. So you got this break and retest of 194, and you basically just saw every pop get faded the entire afternoon. Even this pop faded. Eventually, trading down into its daily 20, and that was it, right? Once it hit that daily 20, it was it. It found that support. Daily 20, once again, showing you that there is levels. You know, daily 20 is a major level on every chart. You can see that it was the exact low of day yesterday. And today, you are back above that 194. So right here, 194, not my top watch, but I would be watching to see what 194 does today on AMD. Or I'm sorry, on NVIDIA. Okay? AMD, strong move in the overnight session because of its investor day. Looking pretty damn good this morning. Finding it slightly difficult to know exactly where to take this long as you trade into these previous lows. It looks like for now, the 252, it's like these lows right here that are holding, it looks like. Yeah, it's that 240. Okay, it's right in here. Hold on. Let me take a little peek at this over here. Take a little closer look. So let's do some investigation. Right over here. What are these lows? 249, 248.15, even down into that 247. Take a look at this. Those lows there are, okay, this hold from from last week. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. 248, 249. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty nice right there. That's pretty nice. Right here. Right here. Right here. Right here. That's very good. The upside is, a little bit tough to read inside these lows over here in this area. But for now, when I look at this right here on the 15-minute, that's pretty good stuff. That's a nice break and hold above the Monday high right there on AMD. So I would be looking for AMD to continue again. Pre-market highs will probably come into play there. On the hourly, it looks like you do have some lows around this 253.50 right in here, but I don't know how important those are going to be. 254. It's hard to tell how important these lows are going to be. Like this low, this low, this low. These lows here, you are right into that 254. So I'll be maybe a little bit cautious, 254. If we get above that, I would probably be more confident for upside and then a pullback long to 249. Yeah. Just freaking hold Apple. Yeah, Apple, interesting today. Apple, I messed that one up yesterday pretty good. I'll talk about it. MU, definitely a watch for me today. MU dripped lower into this 240 retest right here. See that right there? 240 highs, 240 highs. Look at this MU pullback yesterday. Very nice and very strong pullback. That is exactly what you wanted to get. That's a good retracement from this sort of straight up move. That's around a 50% to 61.8% retracement. right there. I like that. MU is also a very strong stock. So any of these dips, looking to see if they turn into buying opportunities. If you hold above 245 today, I think you look for this right here. If you can hold above these 245 highs, these 245 lows, and right here, this 245 area, if you can turn this into a nice support today, I would look for that to continue higher. After dripping lower and filling this gap, right? What did MU do yesterday? It filled the gap, which is beautiful, right? That's exactly what you wanted. Filled the gap, back to the 240, nice little pullback, reclaiming, back above 245 after gap filling that move right here. Here's your gap right there. Nice gap fill, reclaim. If we can get that to hold 245 with some SMH strength, that is definitely a top watch for me. Okay. Broadcom, just waiting for the 365. Nothing yet. TSM, really nothing for me. I'm liking MU today. I'm liking that AMD. Oh, there it goes. Son of a... Yeah, there goes AMD. Beautiful. Look at that. 248, 249. That's a beautiful hold. And NVIDIA 194, 195. Yeah, we looked at IWM. IWM, you just got to get over the daily 20. 245.73. All right. Okay. Let's go into Apple. AAPL. Press that like button, subscribe to the channel. Apple. So yesterday, it looks like garbage in, garbage out for me yesterday a little bit. I was trading off of a 273 level here, right around this 273.40. It definitely seemed to be a proper level, but it looks like after yesterday's price action, the level is 272. So after seeing what happened yesterday, I changed my spot here to 272 because that's clearly what held yesterday, right at 272, right here. So, yeah, a little bit tough for me. I longed it on this hold over 273.40, which was that 4-hour high. So right here, we saw this 273. I think it was this one right here, 273.40. I saw a nice hold above that. If I go to the 1-minute chart, I see 273.40 trying to hold. It was also there. I think there was, what was it, between, I'm trying to remember, where did I exit this? I exited this. I exited Apple. Wait, where are we? Hold on. Oh, this is the wrong day. Is this the wrong day? No, it's the right day. Where the hell did I exit Apple yesterday? Why does this look? I think I exited here. No. Here. Exited right here. Right on this drop. Which ended up moving a hell of a lot higher. But I got faked out trading off this 273.40 spot. Just wasn't the right level. Doesn't seem like it did anything. It just wasn't. It wasn't trustworthy. I guess I just had it wrong. There's really no other explanation for that. So had it wrong there. That level rejected. The 275 level. It was this high. 275 rejected. I was wrong. I took a loss. And then you can see later in the day that 275 level has turned into a really clean support right here. So for me on Apple today, there's only one spot, and I don't even think I'm interested in Apple today. Unless I get this hold. Unless I see something major happen off 275 today, I think I'm going to look elsewhere. But 275, that's my watch. Google, really nice yesterday. We were looking for that pullback long on Google back to that 286.50. It didn't quite get there. It sort of went straight up out of the open, so never really got an entry point on it. Today, I do see another reason for an entry point, and it's right here. It's a hold above 290, 291.50. Right here. If we can hold that, and that, and we pull back to it, and we maintain it, that would be my watch. So keeping eyes on Apple 291.50, 290 area for a pullback long today. That is something I will be watching. Amazon starting to get through our 250.85 this morning. You can see we did, what is this high? I want to have this high in my charts though. Let me make sure I have this high as well. This is Monday high. Just to be careful of that little wick high right there. That Monday high right there. So I like this Amazon consolidation. I like this over this 250.85. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, so you got your squeeze. Can it hold the 280, the 250.85 spot? That is something I will definitely be watching. You can see right here on the 15. You have previous highs right there. Can that turn into a support level at 250.85? If so, I want to look for that upside continuation. That would be a nice Amazon consolidation leading to the next leg higher, which again, let me remind you, is still a weekly chart hold above the major weekly all-time highs, right? Look at what Amazon's doing. Amazon is basing above the all-time highs and a double top on the weekly chart. So you have a double top on the weekly chart here that you are maintaining above. You are consolidating above. That is bullish, right? To maintain above a weekly double top and an all-time high here is definitely bullish right here. Very nice holds. Need to see that breakout move. I think Amazon should be a top watch today. Amazon getting over this 251, 250.85, I think can spark it. I would be watching this today. Meta. Still holding my Meta position. I still really like it. Daily chart, you can see closing with a nice wick again off this daily major low at 621, 617. Battled off the downside very nicely yesterday. And this morning, I think starting to look like it wants to try again. You have a Monday low at 626.50, which is holding very nicely here in the pre-market. And you have the previous day high at 630. If you can get over that 630 today and previous day high, I think you can make another move. This is a good pullback in my opinion still. Looking at this 4-hour chart, I still like this downside demand. I'm still going to attempt to trust this downside demand for a high risk-reward setup. I just need time and patience. So would love to get a little bit of a pay, like get this thing to pay me a little bit today, because what I would like to do is get paid on the next week's and then transition into like some Decembers. So yeah, I want to see if this can get going today, get out, take some profits, move out into Decembers, and then just sit nice and comfy and wait for this comeback move. Definitely want to be watching this. Snow has looked fantastic, and it looks like Snow may make its next move. This is your daily chart on Snow, which is just an insane-looking daily. Previous daily highs. Look at this retest long. It's perfect. Snow looks fantastic. You can see right here, 4-hour candle looking very bullish here on the pre-market. If you can get over 278 on Snow here, I think you might be looking for something. Daily 20, look at that tap and go. I mean, that is just a perfect tap and go daily 20, just bam. Really nice. If you want to look for some Dow industrial names, Caterpillar is definitely a pretty looking setup right now. Major highs here on Cat at 545, perfect lows at 545, right off the daily 20. I mean, it lines up pretty damn good. 4-hour chart in this nice little flagging move just needs to get above 584 for me. You get above that, Cat looks pretty good. Netflix on its comeback grind. Can Netflix make the move today? Let's see. 1145 is the must-break level for me. You have 1145 lows, and for me, this needs to break 1145. Starting to curl very nicely, as we've been talking about. It has reclaimed the daily 20 and the daily 200 here. So that's a big positive. If you can see some strong demand step up to 200 and the daily 20 today, I would watch that breakout over 1145. eBay, congratulations. Shout out Tim from the mentorship. Tim, I don't know if you're watching, man, but you absolutely crushed this thing. Tim set up this, sort of sent this out to the group. This is a beautiful setup, man. Beautiful. We've been tracking it here on the live stream. Incredible. It worked out beautifully. Previous highs, weekly highs, perfect low right there. Break and retest of this weekly high and these highs. Break, retest, beautiful 80 spot. Been tracking this on the live streams with you guys, and the last pretty much this entire week since we talked about it, it's just been straight up. So right here, Monday we talked about it. Monday it went straight up. Yesterday it went straight up. Beautiful continuation on eBay, right into our target of 87.75. So today, target has been hit. You would want to see eBay hold above this 87.75 for any more continuation. That is this weekly low, daily low, and this daily high, 87.75. Palantir looking really good today. Very much a top watch. Again, I tried to take Palantir long off 190 yesterday. I lost. It needed to move lower into the daily 20, unfortunately. That's sort of what I got caught in. But look at what Palantir is doing. It is once again maintaining this area. So Palantir on this break and hold back above this 190, back above this 4-hour structure. I mean, look at this thing. Previous major highs right here, turning into lows. I love the look at this, the look of this. I would be watching Palantir off this 190 the rest of the week to see if it can set something up. Over this 193, I would be looking to see if we can get the juice. Circle and CRWV absolutely getting smoked, man. Circle, just to give you some heads up on these, Circle underneath 92.95 has little to no support until IPO lows, which is 64. That's right here, this daily low at 92.95. You have nothing under that level. If you look at today's price action, look at exactly where it's holding, 92.95. Yeah, if you break that, you are likely going to see more here. So that could be a no-brainer downside move to be watching. And CRWV is another one that went straight down under 100 yesterday. And the only thing about this is you are into this demand here at this 84.40. So I'd be a little bit careful of shorting into that. Our short was from 100 to 84, and that pretty much was all day yesterday. So that trade was nice yesterday, but now that you're down into that 84 demand, I would be a little bit careful. Okay, last one I got for you is my other swing trade that I'm in. That's MP. MP, I'm looking for this to continue. I like the hold yesterday inside of this 60 area demand. Just need to see that juice again come off this pullback. Pullback held, area of demand held. Looking to see if this can get back above the 62.40, holding this 60 demand and give me that next breakout move. Keeping eyes on MP. I like this comeback. That's the dark horse that I'm in right now. Let's see if it can set up today. SoFi. Yeah, SoFi. Nice pullback into that 25 spot. Really nice. Yeah, really nice bounce off that 25 spot. Wow. Yeah, you're back above that. That does look good. 31.22. Nice. This was the spot, right? That was the spot right there. Yeah, how's that Lyft look doing? Oh yeah. Remember we talked about that Lyft weekly chart, I think? Yeah, you are doing it. You are doing it. Look at that. Got a little bit sloppy there though, I'm not going to lie. Where did it pull back to? This weekly high? Yeah, 19. That looks pretty damn good. Yeah, if Lyft can hold above these weekly highs at 23.50, I mean, you are looking at... Oh, I forgot UNH. I need to go to UNH. Yep. You're looking at this gap fill over 23.50. UNH, this is one of my top watches today. This is another swing trade watch for me. We look at this weekly, guys. Weekly chart on UNH. Major weekly consolidation. This is the breakout point here. You're right back to it at 316. I really like the way this looks right here on the daily chart. You can see on the daily chart, 100 SMA right there. Couple of days of nice strong holds at that 100 SMA in 316. I think this is definitely something to keep eyes on, especially if that healthcare sector stays strong and if the Dow can stay strong. I like this little curl off the 100. Keeping eyes on UNH. It looks like this is probably the low you want to see get over, 331.61. If you can reclaim that 4-hour low right there, I think you can get it. All right, guys. That's going to be it for me today. I hope that you find something out there today off our analysis. Hopefully it's a nice, clean day. Make sure to remember the ESN and Q are up into those supply levels. 25,900. 25,900. Watch out above 25,900. That would be the level that you really need to get above today, okay? Don't forget to register down below. Free event in 4 days. If you want to trade live with me, check it out down below. And what else? I think that's it. GG's, everyone. Thanks for the support. Press that like button before you head out. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace and love.